Good morning, all. Good morning. How are we this morning? Thank you. Let me firstly take this time to congratulate Honorable Richard Maru, your Vice Minister, Honorable Kessoong, and the Acting Secretary, Ms. Priscilla Warakai, and the International Trade and Investment team for successfully hosting this very important Special Economic Zone Summit in this country. We are very confident that with the support of the Prime Minister and Cabinet, I think we can be able to push this agenda higher. We've been hearing that this agenda has been in the country for the last 10 years, and unfortunately we have not made any significant inroads. And I think if there's any particular time in our history, I think it's the time when the government has to make some real hard decisions in terms of where we have to focus in growing our economy. And on behalf of my Minister, Honorable Rainbow Paita, and the two Vice Ministers, thank you for inviting us to do our presentation on the key aspects of the medium-term development plan for the next 5 years and going forward into the future. Now, I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of the Ministers of Cabinet, the Members of Parliament, the heads of departments, managing directors, and the CEOs that are here this morning. Now, MTDP IV, which will become the development roadmap for our country in the next 5 years, there is no other way we can plan for the future, and I think we will be expecting everybody from the government, stakeholders, to the private sector, our development partners to fully align so that we can deliver on the MTDP IV indicators and targets. Our experience shows that our aspect of the medium-term plan trade 2018 to 2022, we saw mixed results from assessment, and that could attribute to a number of factors: the onset of COVID-19, and a number of sectors did not able to progress on the key indicators and the targets. And I think we're in a better position this time to reposition ourselves so that we can able to support our government and deliver on some of the key targets that we have set for our country in the next medium term. We see MTDP IV to provide a solution to some of the critical issues that we are facing in this country, and I think it calls for collective actions from all stakeholders in government, the development partners, the NGOs, to support the government so that we can deliver on the medium-term development plan for targets and the indicators. And again, I would like to reaffirm the statement made by the Honorable Richard Maru, and as the Planning Secretary, again, I see no other way that we can grow the economy. And I think at this critical juncture, we are faced with a lot of development challenges in this country. We've got a very high unemployment rate in this country. We've got FX issues. We've got a high rate of crime in this country. How do we resolve these issues? And I think that is the biggest question that we have today. And I think we can see SEZs coming in and providing some solutions to address some of these prevailing issues that we have in this country. So I'll go straight to my presentation. This is the content, the structure of my presentation this morning. All right, I think the biggest question that we can ask as a country today is, where do we go from here? We have some high-level targets, policy targets that we need to achieve. We got strategic vision 2050. We want to be wise, smart, fair, healthy, and happy society by 2050. And our mission is to be ranked in the top 50 countries in terms of the Human Development Index. As per the UNDP Human Development Report, currently we are ranked just about 156 out of 189 countries. And the Development Strategy Plan 2030 goal is to become a middle-income country. And the current status, we are still a lower middle-income country, and I think the biggest question for us is, how do we achieve some of the key development aspirations that we have as a country? This is the GDP growth trend, as you can see, from 1960 to 2021. We have a GDP growth of 10 billion kina. That's our current GDP. And the government has called for us to increase our GDP to 200 billion in the next 10 years. And by 2030, we should be having a GDP of 200 billion kina. So that's basically our GDP growth has trend since 1960 to date. Again, we have structured the medium-term development plan for the Vision 2050. How do we achieve our Vision 2050? To be happy, to be wealthy, united and prosperous, and PNG Agenda 2030. We want to grow our economy to be 200 billion by 2030. We want to be a middle-income country. We want to be the richest black Christian nation. Again, this is the Prime Minister's mantra, and improving the quality of the lives of our people and leaving no child behind. And I think in the back of our mind, as we plan for this country, I think this challenge goes out to all of the sectors that are here today. So PNG Agenda 2030, how do we achieve that? This is the national planning system. We're going to visit 2050. That's taking its cue from the national constitution. We have the preamble, and the Vision 2050 is basically framed within the ambit of the preamble of the constitution. And taking the cue from the Vision 2050, we have the DSP, Development Strategy Plan. And we have rolled out the 3 MTDPs, medium-term development plans, and now in the process of formulating and finalizing the medium-term development plan 4. And in that MTDP IV, we have identified a number of key strategic priority areas that will require the government to invest in. And within the SPAs, we have identified a number of deliberate interventions programs, and we have the investment projects that each one of you will be able to know as we finalize and we launch the MTDP IV, so that all of you can be able to align to the medium-term development plan, because each one of you will be given specific sector targets. You'll be able to know your space to come in and perform and deliver on those specific targets. Already, these are the SPAs that we have identified in a medium-term development plan for SPA number 1, strategic economic investments. We think this is very, very important. That's where the government has to put this particular strategic priority areas as one of the key investment areas that we need to support, like special economic zones, sustainable energy infrastructure, quality and affordable healthcare, quality education and state human capital, the rule of law, and national security, good governance, and public service transformation, research, science and technology, and digital government, information and national data system, climate change and environmental protection, and population dynamics and development, and strategic partnerships. So these are key strategic priority areas that were captured in the medium-term development plan for, and we think by investing in those critical strategic priority areas, we may be able to address some of the critical development constraints that we have in this country. All right, as you can see, this is some of the key delivery intervention programs on each of the strategic priority areas. In the economic sector, we would like to invest more in the commercial agriculture and livestock development. In the mining and petroleum area, we look at downstream processing. I think this particular agenda has been on the table for some time, and we're happy that we're able to discuss now more the SEZ concept that will become the vehicle through which we can be able to drive downstream processing in this country and add value, so that we can get a lot more better price than what we're exporting. You look at the sustainable energy infrastructure, the Connect PNG plan is the flagship program of our government. We'd like to connect the country by 2025, which is quite ambitious, but we're working very hard to ensure that we can connect the country from the north to the south, to the islands. So we've already started talking to ADB to do a full feasibility study of the northern corridor, as well as the Trans-Highlands corridor from Wauwatosa down to Kerama, and the southern corridor from Kerama up to Port Moresby and to Alatau, as well as the islands corridor starting at Leinaja all the way to Kakamuga, down to Southern Islands, down to Kikori and back to Gulf. So some studies have been done. And the national electrification rollout, as you all know, the DSP calls for 70% access to electricity by our people. That's still a big challenge to government. So within the next 5 years, that's something that our partners need to work to ensure that we can have this progress on this target of 70% electricity access by the households. And the telecommunication infrastructure. In the health sector, the primary healthcare is very important. Specialized healthcare, the infrastructure. So those are key deliberate intervention programs that we will be capturing that in the medium-term development plan for, and we will allow all the sectors to invest in those areas, so that can be able to address the specific targets and indicators that you have in your respective sectors. Okay, I think it's a question of the Prime Minister's mentioned, I think the government has mentioned, but for us to deliver the 200 billion economy by 2030. And I think, how do we do that? What are the major economic drivers for us to deliver the 200 billion economy by 2030? And I think SEZs come in at the right time to support this agenda. We have to invest in agriculture, major investments in agriculture, forestry, mining, fisheries, the SMEs. So those are critical sectors that we have to put our money so that we can be able to see some real returns on those investments. Connect PNG critical infrastructure. And I get a set up around the chairman of the Connect PNG. We're working closely with Department of Works to ensure that we can make some significant progress in terms of connecting the country, as I've said, from the north to south, to the islands, as well as the New Britain highway connectivity. So a lot of work has been done on that, and the Manus East-West Highway as well. And the Law and Justice, which is an important enabler, and I think with the unprecedented escalation of law and order problem in this country, and I think we are looking for answers. How do we arrest the escalating law and order problem in this country? So I think big investments in this particular sector is very, very important. The preconditions for economic growth and development in this country. And this year we've just allocated 150 million kina in the law and justice sector, particularly for national policing, because we feel that it's important that we address all the investment risk. We talk about SEZs, we talk about MTDPs coming into this country. And against the backdrop of a serious law and order issue, we'll have big problems having those MTIs to take the risk to come and invest in this country. And sound and accountable revenue and public finance management system. I think it's about time, as a government, we've got to be very disciplined, excess and fiscal discipline in terms of managing public finances in this country. We know that there's a lot of leakages, and we're going to patch those leakages and able to be accountable and manage those finances so that we can fund critical investments in this country that can be able to generate returns on those investments. Okay, these are national targets that we've captured in the medium-term development plan for. We have to grow the economy to 200 billion kina by 2030. At current level, our GDP is just about 110 billion, so we expect to grow up to 54 billion in a medium-term period after 2027, up to 164 billion kina. We want to increase our revenue to 30 billion kina by 2030. So by 2027, we have current revenue trending at just about 15 billion kina. So we'd like to grow the revenue half so that we can increase expenditure in this budget so that we can adequately fund some of the critical investments in this country. We've been running a deficit budget for a number of years, and we're borrowing to finance the deficit. So if we can grow the revenue to 30 billion, I think we're in a position to be able to finance some of the critical investments that otherwise we could not have financed with the current revenue base that we have. We want to create 1 million jobs by 2027. That's why I think we're looking at what are the areas that we can invest to create jobs. You look at the mining sector, mining and petroleum sector can only absorb fixed number of jobs, on average just about 2,000. But we're looking at the non-extractive sector, and SME, I think, in my view, SME would play a big role to ensure that we can capture the skill, the semi-skill, even those that have no skills to be employed. So we expect in the medium-term period to create just about 1 million jobs. We got three new mines and petroleum projects to be operationalized. We've got Wapi Gold coming out. We've got a Pogara that has been allowing fruits for some time. So I think that has to be fast-tracked. 70% of fisheries process, fisheries to be processed also. Again, on downstream processing, 100% of forestry processed in the country so that we can add value to some of our raw materials and we can be able to export and get some increased prices on what we're losing out when we're exporting raw materials. At this tree, especially going to be Jones, bigger operation. At the Minister you mentioned we have to start 3 in the MTDP targets. We expect at least 3, especially going to be Jones, to be operational, fully functional operational in this country. That is your challenge, and of course the challenge for government. 70% of households access to electricity. This call has been there. In the last MTDP 3, we made some slight progress, but we still have the target that we must continue to work to ensure that our people have access to 70% of some form of energy. When we grow 100 new SMEs in the medium-term period, 200,000 new personnel trained to Tibet, and again the connect PNG. We have to connect the country in the next 2.5 years so that we can be able to celebrate Golden Jubilee comes 2025. It's a massive challenge, but it's an ambitious target, but we have to work harder. And our agriculture exports to be doubled, and again the call to the agriculture sector, Department of Commodity Boards, to start working hard so that with the incentive of the SEZs we can be able to double our exports. Okay, we have also set provincial targets in MTDP IV by 2027. We'd like to see each of the province having hospital, provincial hospital, all provincial roads, seal and in good condition. The challenge for governors. There is a good source of funding going in, your partner government, the private sector, to be able to seal our roads and give better roads to people. Secondary and high schools, rehabilitated and fully capacitated, at least one. Technical college per province. That's our target. Provincial towns and headquarters to be fully developed. As you go to some of the provinces, there are no headquarters. Some operating in the buildings that are not appropriated as a provincial headquarters. So we expect all the provincial towns headquarters fully developed. A major market in every province. Markets an important infrastructure. Provincial internal revenues double. The call to ensure that our provinces must be in a position to start looking at major economic activities. Many of the provinces and districts are very much depending on the functional grants, the PIP or the government funding. I think the call is to, at some point in time, we want to see the province and district becoming financially autonomous. And that can be done as you look at SEZs, going into joint venture with the private sector to undertake major investment projects in the province. The database, our provincial administrations have a good database management system and waste management system for all provinces. So these are some of the provincial targets that we have in each of the provinces. The districts will be having their own respective provincial plans, development plans, and district development plans to align to the medium-term development plan 4. But we've gone further down to set also district targets. For 2027, every district to have its own district headquarters. And some districts, I must say that some districts simply have no government presence. So I think the call now is we're setting these targets to ensure that each of the district must have its district headquarters. All the district community roads to be maintained in good condition. The functional roads and road jetties. We'd like to see each of the district having a district hospital, one community health post, pale energy, at least one secondary school and high school for each district, at least 2 TVET centers in each of the districts, at least one major market per district. District road centers in each district, 50% rural district households to have access to safe drinking water. So those are many challenges you have, but we would like to work closely with you to ensure that some of these targets can be achieved. 70% of districts covered by mobile and communication networks. Rural longer in each district. So you can see these are some of the district targets that we have set for our districts, so our districts remain focused with a very limited resource envelope that we have, and I think it's important that we can tie some of the financing to some of these very important projects, so that in the next 5 years you remain focused on your respective targets, so that you can help the government to deliver on the medium-term development plan goals. How we will deliver the 90 billion to grow. We're having a 110 billion in the economy, so we expect to grow 90 billion in the next 10 years. And in the medium-term development plan period, we'll be targeting just about 54 billion kina. So MTDP aims to deliver 54 billion kina, which is just about 60% of the 90 billion kina in order for us to reach 200 billion economy. And I guess I've said our indicators, our internal revenue, the current base is just about 15.6 billion kina, which is still very low. And as long as we continue to allow this trend to continue, we will continue to borrow. When we borrow, our debt level is going to go up, the cost of borrowings are going to go high, and we'll have real problems. So we'd like to support the economic support economic activities to increase revenue 10 billion. We have taken these projections out of the Treasury's medium-term revenue strategy. We want to increase our export revenue to 50 billion. So currently, our export revenue is just about 37 billion kina, and reduce our import by 5 billion kina. Currently, it says 11.9 billion kina is our import bill, and I think the only way to do, there's no other way. We have to go into downstream processing. We have to start substituting imports, and then we reduce imports. And I think we have to go into the groceries to see what can be produced. There's some things that we can produce in this country, but we are still importing. So I think there's a challenge for government, capital investment budget to be at least 10 billion kina annually. Currently we have increased expenditure 35 billion kina. Currently we have a 24.7 billion kina budget. Some of that 40 billion is from the direct government financing, and we have a deficit of just about 5 billion kina. So we would like to see our expenditure grow to 35 billion kina, 10 billion kina annually, so that we can adequately finance. That includes the concession of financing from our development partners in terms of loans, as well as the grant financing, so we can maintain our expenditure at 10 billion annually, and we can do a lot more with that money. The critical infrastructure, I think that's something that is our target. The targets will be set in the transport sector, energy, the wash, and law and order. Again, that is our biggest challenge as we focus to grow the economy, and many of us are more worried than how can we grow the economy at the back of the prevailing law and order problem in this country. The SEZs cannot even flourish. They cannot even stay overnight until 12 o'clock, midnight, 11 o'clock. They're starting their business because we have a serious law and order problem in this country. So we are setting some targets for the law and order sector. So we would like to see an increased investment in that sector to arrest what is already an escalating law and order problem in this country. How do we finance the medium-term development plan? And we have estimated just an estimated cost of 54.2 billion over 5 years. So that is just our estimation based on the trends, based on our consultation with the respective sectors on the estimates that they brought. So financing options. How do we finance the MTDP IV? The government is the major financer of the MTDP IV investments. I would like to see a lot more collaboration with the private sector to go into public-private partnerships so that the private sector can bring their money and the government can only create an enabling environment for the private sector to come and invest in this country. We're going to tax credit scheme from our major developers in the oil and gas sector, in the mining sector. So this is one of the reliable sources of funding that we have. So we're looking forward to having continuous support for the tax credit scheme. And our development partners are very, very important. From our external finances like the World Bank, the ADB, the EIB, so that we partner with government to finance the MTDP IV, to consist of financing as well as the grant financing from our major development partners. So, and we look at state-owned enterprise, FDIs to come in and support government so that we can adequately finance the MTDP IV. We are constrained at this point in time. Fiscally, we are constrained, and we would like to see a lot more partners coming to support government so that we can adequately finance the MTDP IV, and then we can be able to achieve some of the key targets that we have set in the medium-term development plan for. Contributing to achieving the 2030 targets. How do we capture and what's the role of special economic zones in trying to achieve some of the key targets we have? Okay, we have been funding a number of SEZs in the country. I think this is some of the SEZs, as you can see, that has been identified. And I think our team is team from the ministry, led by Honorable Minister Maru, and the team has been working closely with the JDI to do a full feasibility studies of the potential SEZs that we have in this country. But the SEZs, the strengths and weakness, and now I think our bigger challenge we have in this country is we've got a youth parts in this country, the biggest youth population. When you look at the population pyramid in this country, the base is big. The base is big, and we have no solution for them at this point in time, and it's a time bomb. If we don't address our youth population that are unemployed, and at some point in time when they reach the intolerance level, they go to work our streets. So the gaps between haves and have-nots are going to continue to be widened. So we have the competitive advantage in terms of the SEZ in this country. Okay, we have the political stability. It's a big support to our government. It's political will for us to really push on the SEZ concept development in this country. And again, on the flip side, we still have a lot of challenges in terms of addressing some of the key constraints, development constraints in this country. Creating those, building the enabling infrastructures. The preconditions are very important for the SEZs, particularly for FDIs to come into business in this country. Otherwise, the risk will continue to remain high, and no one is going to throw billions of Guinea into precarious environment where there is high level of risk. Okay, these are targets for special economic zones in the MTDP IV. We expect the provinces and districts to identify at least one SEZ per district. The government to mobilize financing for the private sector for very important critical infrastructure development for SEZ areas. That's probably the role of government to create an enabling environment for the private sector to come and do business and create jobs, increase our revenue. And so legal titles for the SEZs, I think these are things that have been described, that has been discussed, and each of the investor presidents have mentioned that. So those are basically prerequisite. Land as equity in SEZ, I think our landowners are important. The bottom line, they can be able to enjoy the benefit streams that will be coming out from the SEZ development. Law and order, again, very important. Provide incentives with the legislative framework. There will be tax holidays given to many of the mining companies, 10 years tax holidays, 10 years tax holidays. I think that's something that will be discussed. So those are the targets that we have set in the MTDP IV. Financing options for educated infrastructure in this country, industry infrastructure. Again, the government normal annual budgets to the public investment program. Development partners to come in and partner government to loans and grants. PPP, the private sector to come with the money and invest. They will, of course, take the risk, but the government has to provide the enabling environment. Tax credits came from our development partners. And the province and district infrastructure, of course, the PSIB, which is one of the biggest 10 million kina that goes to our provinces, that our leaders can use their funding to support the development of SEZ. DSIB funding at 10 million kina, you put 10 million times 5, just about 50 million, every 5 years. So that's quite a significant amount of funding. And again, through the PIB programs financing, I would like to see Kina for Kina. The districts and province can put out 50%, the government can put out 50% to finance some of the key SEZ infrastructures in this country. So those are proposals on the table. Okay, I think we all know what the benefits of the SEZs are going to be, and seriously, I think we need to support this concept, support the ministry, because we see that the benefits are going to be enormous, and it's going to contribute to economic growth. Again, 200 billion economy, we will see increased revenue, and employment will be created, improve the social indicators, education, health. People by now will have a lot of money to spend because they're employed in the SEZ and the spin-offs, and we expect that the rate of crime, the crime trend, to start slowing down. So that's our expectations, and that we'll have an increased budget because we'll be seeing a lot more revenue being generated in the SEZ. I think from the experience that we have learned from all the precedents. There's huge potential. We just have to develop the potential in the SEZ, and I think the support is really required for everyone. Challenge to answering SEZ development such as improved alignment and coordination among key government agencies, sort of government approach to development of SEZ in this country. And I must say that from my experience with the implementation of the medium-term development plan for, as I've said, we have actually made results. The number of factors that affected with the onset of COVID-19, I think one of the biggest issues that we encountered was the very, very poor alignment from many of the stakeholders. So I think that's the first call, and the coordination issues that we need to address in national, provincial, and district. Establish safeguards for private sector investment for landowner participation. Again, we're seeing a lot of landowner issues in this country, resettlement issues, environmental issues. So those preparedness are very, very important for SEZ development in this country. So those are issues and challenges that we have to address in order for us to, and so we have a climate that is conducive, it's very, very conducive to deliver the SEZs in this country. There's a lot of work to do, and I think if we can take ownership and everyone that goes to work, that we can be able to address the issues. So the SEZ is, the FBS can able to come and develop SEZ in this country. Okay, look, I think I've spoken a lot. Country belong, you must work one time. There is no way, our friends, SEZ is a major catalyst for economic growth and development in this country. It can create jobs. I think we have to take the risk, and there's no better time than now. Thank you.